Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show we have reports and tips for you from Jarrett McCarthy down at Hayward Bait and Bottle. And then we talk fall fishing with pro angler and fishing guide Brian BRO Brosdahl. Lots to cover on this week's show, all coming up right after these messages.
Store your boat where it'll be safe and secure at Hayward Powersports. We're the area's largest marine and power sports storage facility. Call now to reserve your space and bring it in when you're done for the season. Your boat will be prepared by our certified techs who properly winterize today's high-tech motors. We offer shrink wrapping and indoor storage, plus a 20% discount in any repairs done when you store your boat with us. State licensed and bonded, Hayward Powersports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77 or at haywardpowersports.com.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu. And while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
We're down at Hayward Bait and Bottle talking to Jarrett McCarthy down here. And Jarrett, we've been waiting for fall to show up. It cooled off, then it warmed up and got 80 degrees, and now we're finally back to cooling off again. And looks like maybe our fall patterns are going to stay for a while, at least until we get toward the winter.
Yeah, and it's a welcome sight with all the warm weather that we've had. It's kind of delayed this fall bite that we're all looking forward to. So, with a little bit of the cool weather, in store for us right now, it looks like those fall patterns should start to develop.
It's crazy, too, because we had bug hatches going on. I saw little baby dragonflies, little damselflies flying around. There was, little flies coming up out of the bottom. There was all kinds of food out there. Maybe that food will start to thin down. The fish will be a little bit more aggressive looking for something.
Yeah, that's one of the big problems that we have going through the summer is that there's just an abundance of food out there. And when we get to the fall time of the year, a lot of those bug hatches, they stop, and a lot of those bugs will bury down deep in the mud or what have you. And then the fish are a little bit more tolerable to our baits. So, yeah, hopefully that'll start up here soon.
Let's talk a little bit about walleye fishing. A lot of people come up here to go walleye fishing, and the walleyes, you might find some walleyes up shallow over here, and especially as we get close to where we get closer to turnover. I don't know when that's going to happen, if it happens this year. Who knows with the crazy stuff, but it'll be a lot of deeper patterns, I think.
Yeah, so just being at the forefront of this cool down, a lot of those walleyes will still be out roaming some of the deeper water, but as we continue to stick with this cold pattern or this cooler pattern, those fish will start to migrate up shallow where they'll be through early ice.
Yeah. Well, in that shallow pattern, they get to a point, right? Once you get past the turnover, the fish could be anywhere. There'll be fish out deep. There'll be fish both shallow. They'll be everywhere.
Yep, just like in the spring. You can roll up on them, during late fall and see them in a foot of water, just like you are in the spring. So as soon as that water cools down, those fish are free to roam.
As far as presentation on walleyes, I know walleye suckers are good, although a week or so ago I was catching them on half a crawler, and that was when we were having bugs hatching again. But It'll be mostly walleye suckers, walleye sucker and a jig, and maybe slip bobber.
Yeah, absolutely. You run those slip bobbers during the daytime for, those little bit more lethargic fish. And once you finally get to the evening, alongside your slip bobbers, you're throwing big jerk baits or what have you out there for them. So just like the springtime, big sucker goes a long ways this time of year, and those walleye suckers are key out there.
Yeah, and we'll see some trolling patterns develop a little later, too. You guys run on lead core or snap waste to get down deeper once the fish are out there a little bit deeper, too.
Absolutely, yep. We see that every year as well.
And as far as panfish, I know that's your favorite fish. Getting to be one of mine, too, because I guide for them all the time. But crappies and bluegills, what's going on there?
Crappies and gills, there's still a lot of fish that are still out on those deeper patterns, starting to make their way up shallow or what have you. Shallow is relative to the lake, so I've seen a lot of fish in that 10 to 20 foot of water. They're holding the weed edges still. They're coming up. They're sitting on cribs. They're just basically following the food, and there's a lot of food in the system still, so they could be a lot of different spaces.
I know on the Chippewa flowage, a lot of them are around the cribs, but also some of the deeper bog structure and mud bogs and sticks and stuff.
Absolutely, and with all those have in common, there's going to be food around each and every one of those. So, if you find some kind of structure, you're going to find those panfish.
What do you recommend for a bait for the panfish?
So as far as panfish, those gulp minnows work really, really well. If you want to go a little bit bigger, I like starting off with 2-inch plastics all the time, some kind of minnow style bait or what have you. And realistically, a lot of those 2-inch baits, a lot of people think that, that's really big for a crappie. That's really big for a bluegill. They got no problems taking a bigger bait. So definitely think a little bit bigger. You can always go smaller, but it's tough to go bigger.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned the gulp stuff, too, and everybody, I use a lot of the 1-inch gulp, too, but, I use a lot of the 2.5-inch gulp. I mean, to upscale, and you'd be surprised an 8-inch crappie will take that real quick.
Absolutely, and when you upscale, you're starting to eliminate a lot of those smaller fish. So, if you're using a little hunk of crawler or like one of those little 1-inch minnows, you're going to catch just about every bluegill that's swimming around in that school. But when you start to go up to those 1.5-inch, 2-inch, 2.5-inch baits, you're really starting to select for some of those bigger fish out of the school, and exactly what people are looking for as far as table fare and taking a lot of those smaller ones out.
A lot of people up here after muskies, as we get farther into the fall here, we're getting into a real strong live bait bite. Farther we go.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got suckers in the shop, every, shape and size that you could ask for. So, alongside with guys throwing baits, they'll be dragging meat behind the boat. And, as we get further along into the season, with that water cooling down, the bite will only heat up.
And it's not all live bait, too. I mean, one of the baits that really shines in the fall is things like the soft plastics, the tube baits, and some of the bulldogs and different. There's so many of those soft plastics out there now.
Absolutely. Whether you're looking at Muskie Innovations, whether you're looking at Red Octobers, or if you're looking at Chaos Tackle, there's a lot of good options out there for some of this late fall, almost pre-winter plastics that a lot of guys will be throwing out there. A lot of them will be throwing, and then, at some point in the winter, you'll get up to the point where you're jigging them as well.
I think the colder the water gets, the more important it gets to get down in their face, and that's what you wind up doing with the plastic, versus trying to pull a bucktail or something over the top of their head.
Yep, absolutely. They'll be a little bit more lethargic, so, yeah, putting it right on their nose will be key.
Pike fishing should be good, too, and this is the time of year when we start seeing some of them bigger pike showing up. They come out of that deeper water up on the weed edges and the weeds.
Absolutely, and those fish will be coming up hungry, ready to eat, and, this is the time of year where a lot of those fish start putting on the feed bag, whereas, most of the summer you'll see a lot of those pike, they'll come out. They're kind of skinny or what have you, come out of that shallower water, but right now you're going to start seeing some really good builds for those fish.
And lastly, bass fishing. I mean, the smallmouth, the largemouth, you can catch them too going into the late fall, but the smallmouth, that's one of the fun things, going after the big smallies late in the fall.
Absolutely, and a lot of guys will still catch those smallies, kind of intermixed or amongst all the walleyes, so that's why, you get a lot of guys that are coming in there grabbing those walleye suckers. They'll work really well for both smallmouth and walleyes out there, so, but a lot of different ways you can target those smallies out there, and they are a lot of fun. We even get a handful of people that are getting, smallies on muskie baits every year.
You guys down here, hunting seasons are open, you guys are fully equipped for the hunting seasons too?
Yep, absolutely. We've got all of our archery gear back here. We got some firearms here for those that are getting ready for the gun deer season. And obviously, if you've got anything that you need to have looked at, whether it be your bow or your crossbow, we've got Mr. Wagner here in the shop that'll help you out.
Lots of stuff, and just about everybody here can help you out as far as information, too.
Yep, whether it be the right information or the wrong information, we'll lead you in one direction.
Well, thank you, Jared, and thanks a lot.
Yep, thanks, John.
Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking fall fishing with pro angler and fishing guide Brian BRO Brosdahl. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hunters and anglers, Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop in the Hayward area. Stop in and check out the huge selection of fall muskie, bass, walleye, and panfish tackle. They also have a great selection of ammunition, scents, hunting supplies, and much more. Gear up for the fall at Hayward Bait and Bottle. And while you're there, check out the bottle shop for a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor, too. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop in the Hayward area. There's no time like the present to explore Hayward, Wisconsin, one of the Midwest's most popular vacation destinations. With crystal clear lakes for water sports and fishing, miles of trails for riding snowmobiles, ATVs, cross-country skiing, hiking, and mountain biking, this area is buzzing with activity year-round. Combined with charming local shops and a variety of Northwoods dining options, Hayward is certain to offer both adventure and relaxation for everyone. Plan your trip today and find everything you need on the Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce website. From events and attractions to local dining, shopping, and lodging, visit haywardareachamber.com and start your next adventure now.
The 2026 Polaris off-road vehicles are rolling in daily at Hayward Powersports, and we need to create room by making crazy deals on the remaining 25s. Now's the time to take advantage during the Polaris Factory Authorized Clearance event. Claim rebates up to $4,000 or financing as low as 0.99% for 36 months on select models. Polaris RZR is built for everything from taming adventurous terrain to adrenaline-charged trail rides with your crew. Polaris Ranger is the perfect machine for tackling property maintenance and then take on a backcountry ride. Or get the best of both worlds with the Polaris General, built with task-to-trail versatility, unlocking more adventures. With up to $4,000 off select Polaris side-by-sides, it's time to finally get the machine of your dreams. Plus, Hayward Powersports even has rebates up to $1,500 off the machine that started it all, the legendary tough Polaris Sportsman ATV. Let us help you get the right Polaris to join you on your next adventure. Hayward Powersports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Find them online at haywardpowersports.com. See dealer for complete program details. Always wear a helmet, never drink and ride.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors, and this part of the show is brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, one of the people I get on here from time to time is pro angler and fishing guide BRO Brosdahl from over in northern Minnesota. And while Bro guides over in northern Minnesota, he has fished over here in northern Wisconsin, and a lot of the tactics and things he talks about not only work over there, but they'll work here too. I had a chance to talk to him the other night on the phone about fall fishing and a lot more. Bro, great to have you on the show here again. We'll get you on here as often as we can, but you're out on the water a lot over there in northern Minnesota, I know.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're finally getting a cool down that we've been waiting for. And as that water cools, what do you expect as far as the walleyes? What do you tell people where to find them? Are they going to be shallow, deep, or both, or what?
They're going to move in. We have whitefish in their lakes, and they come in the fall to spawn. And so they're not all big. Some are just this year's whitefish, and they're not coming in to spawn. They're just doing the run. And the pike and the walleyes are going to be waiting for in the green weeds. Green weeds and weed beds that face the large open lake, there's definitely going to be some walleyes moving in the weeds.
We've got a few lakes that have ciscos in them, but also I've noticed when you get real late in the fall like that too, that a lot of the young of the year perch will pile up against the breaks and the weed edges too, it seems like.
Oh, absolutely. As weeds decay, that draws insect. The larval form of all insects eat the deciduous decaying matter of the lake, and they're like the little janitors, and so the minnows eat those. It's, that cycle where there'll be boiling schools of minnows, and I've seen it even on Leech Lake all the years that I was helping run a resort there. We had a light at the end of the dock, and the water was boiling with minnows every night, and you'd see everything swimming through, muskies, walleyes, even after dark. Fish you wouldn't think would be there, crappies. And so when the minnows come in the fall, and when they do this time, you'll be snagging them on your jigs. They're so thick, and the walleyes are just gorging. You can watch them. Using my Humminbird Explorer, I could see fish coming up, grabbing them, and going back down. And you see the pike obviously doing that. But it just draws everything in to small areas, so you get high volume of fish. And it's just like fishing in Canada, but right in your home area lake.
What is your go-to presentation once we get late like this? I assume it's probably a jig with a minnow or a jig with plastic.
I really love using eye candy paddle tail plastic, and color is the variable. Eye candy works every day of the year, but it's the color. And lately it's been smelt or white. And then last year I did really good on smoke, which is kind of a shiner looking thing. And it's going to change as the water clears up and the algae becomes dormant. When we get colder temperatures and it clears, then you got to try different colors. Last year, smoke was good, and then also silver chartreuse, and all perch patterns work. But that with a smeltinator head or a tungsten head is just perfect, So, and also you don't hear about, but the mimic minnow heads look just like a shiner's head, and they have the gamma katsu hook. So I like using those. They got a double barb to hold your plastic on.
You mentioned to me one time that, some of the baits, whether it's the eye candy or the any of the other, there's 2 or 3. Rapala has some out there, and there's, I think, 3 or 4 manufacturers using that TPE plastic, which is different. That you mentioned that really tends to absorb scent better. And
yes.
And I know you said you were using scent. I think you said you were using ProCure.
I have a big bottle of several different flavors of ProCure, and I also have the stuff I showcased on the Bro Roadshow. I have no sponsors for that stuff, but there's something called Fat Sauce, and it's out of the East Coast, and it's actually smelled oil. And so that stuff works extremely well on paddle tails in these lakes that have shiners and Cisco's. I would imagine that would just be amazing on Green Bay. And I've used everything. Dr. Juice is good, but I like bigger volume stuff. And so one big bottle of that lasts me more than a year, because I just put a little drop on the gunnel of the boat, and then I squeeze it into there, or I'll put some in the trays that they come in. And I know it's just like a sponge. It's super porous, and it actually floats. So if you're drop shotting, it's really nice because it'll float it up. But when you're jigging eye candy and that jig hits the bottom, the tail's straight up in the air. And so don't just think about minnow shapes and paddle tails. I've been using the grub and the jig worm, and the jig worm floats. And remember, you want the thing to move a lot. So even try short shank tungsten jigs, not just long shank. Using a jig worm or a grub, you'll get more bites because it moves, it jiggles a little bit more. And if you do miss any fish, then go to the long shank jig. But I've been liking the stand-up heads. You close your tackle box, you can't even get the lid shut because they're standing up all in your box. But the tungsten with stand-ups are really nice. And then just a regular tungsten jig head from Northland has that little red eye. Everything is a table setting for the fish. And when I'm out guiding, I don't take any chances. But this is that time of year where it's going to get good.
As we get toward the fall more and colder water, once that water stabilizes, there'll be fish out in deep too, though, at some point, won't there? Yeah, there will be on the clearer lakes, the zebra mussel lakes over here, the super chin clear lakes. And I keep saying the same names, but these are the big 3 in the area, the Leech, Cass, Winnie. Those lakes are different now. We used to catch fish 30, 40, 50, 60 feet of water. Now the fish are shallower than ever, and they keep staying shallow. So they're always, you can't go wrong if you're in 7 to, no more 14 feet if it's really bright and flat, but 7 to 11 feet of water. And even finding some fish way inside the weed. Do you look at trolling at all in the fall? Because what works there will work here too. Yeah, we'll troll if people are tired of casting. We do. I like to tell everybody we're on a bombing mission, but we've got to acquire targets. We go find the fish and we throw jigs at them. And if they get tired of casting, we'll put on an underspin like a deep V or a smeltinator with a paddle tail, pitch it out, go 1.4 miles an hour, and the rods are getting bent. You just want to make sure you use the right weight for the depth of water. If you're going faster, you want to go quarter ounce. If you're going to go, if you're in anything around 10 or a little bit more to 14 in and out of rocks, you just want to stay about 2 to 3 feet up off the bottom. If you're hitting the bottom, reel it in a little bit. You don't need a line counter reel. You don't need any of that.
pitch it out. If you're hitting bottom, reel it in a little bit or speed up the trolling motor. I'm using, the Minn Kota so I could actually set cruise control along with, picking a direction and locking it in. And then I've got amp batteries. They've never let me down, and I could go all day with those things. So, trolling is not a problem. 90% of my people want to cast and feel that strike and set the hook.
Well, folks, we need to take another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll have the second part of that talk we had with BRO Brosdahl on fall fishing. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore sight it for you too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Hey folks, the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach on Highway K between the Big Lakes has groceries, ice, beer, liquor, and pop, and now has all new tackle and bait supplies. All current antiques and household items are now on sale and all must go to make room for the sport shop. That's at the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach between the Big Lakes.
If you'd like to have your time fishing be more enjoyable and productive, hiring a fishing guide can be a good investment. Whether it's learning more about fish patterns throughout the year, learning how to use your depth finder to find the best spots and fish, learn how to use that GPS to get the most out of it, or learn better boat control. A day on the water with a guide can really help you to be a better angler, as well as make a day on the lake very enjoyable. To book a guide trip this year or get more information, you can find us on the internet at www.wiscnorthlandoutdoors.com and then just click on Area Guides.
Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And folks, we're going to jump right back into the second part of that talk we had with BRO Brosdahl. You mentioned amped batteries. People that don't know, that's Amped Outdoors lithium batteries. I mean, that powers all of my boats too, and you're 100% correct on that. I can go out and drag crankbaits or whatever, trolling, crawler harnesses, whatever I want to do all day long, and I probably could go 2 days. And I don't have the biggest batteries they make either, but I could probably go 2 days without, having to charge my batteries if I wanted to.
Absolutely. And I've met quite a few people that didn't want a great big marine, like Group 31 or 27, lithium battery. They bought an amped 32 or even a 52 12 volt, which is a small battery the size of a Pop-Tarts box and really light. And just for room because they didn't have the storage. And so you don't need the big ones. But for me, being a guide, my trolling motor, I have 36 volt batteries, 2 of them at 50 amps. So I could pretty much, it's 100 total. I could pretty much run all day in heavy winds. And that's, tell you what, it wasn't always like that. So it's a dream come true to be able to stay out there because we haven't had the wind this fall like we did last fall, but it was gusting every day. And those amp batteries make a difference. And I have all my electronics hooked up to one 12-volt, 160 amp hour battery. And now they got a 180 amp hour battery. So how big do they get?
I don't know, but I can tell you one of my friends, my neighbor, he went with a 24-volt, 50 amp hour battery in his Lund Alaskan. He took it down to Florida in the Florida Keys. He was down there for a month, and he fished hard every day in saltwater, and he said he didn't think he charged the battery more than 3 times in a month. So that gives you an idea how strong the batteries are.
Yeah, it's overkill in my boat. I know that. My panfish boat is a 2002 Lund Mr. Walleye, the old tiller, so it's wide. It's got the bigger gunnels, and I got that with a 115 horse. Later on is when we came out with the 150, 200, 250 horse tiller. And I don't really need that. That 115 is my river boat in the spring. When the roads are getting salted, I'll drive it in the fall. And in that thing, I got the 24 volt 2-battery system. I can't kill them because the boat's so light. That trolling motor, I think I could sit there for days. It'll shut off. You know, motors are designed to shut off if they pop out of the water too many times, and which is a safety feature. But it's really cool. Like in the spring when we sturgeon fish, we'll sit there all day, spot locked. So it's pretty cool. I remember the days when we had to use an anchor, and I don't remember using an anchor in a long time.
I know. I have not used an anchor for many, many years now. It's all spot lock with the Minnesota.
Yeah. And I've got the Talon shallow water anchors on my big boat and the little boat. And I got 2 of them, so everybody spots me. Most people have one, and I got frustrated bobber fishing in a hot summer day and spinning in a circle, so I've had 2 for like the last 11 years, and I said, I am never going to have one unless I really need to put the Vantage on the back of that tiller. But if I need to back throw, I use the 115 tiller. It's a 4-stroke, and most of the time we're going forward. That's why tiller boats are the sails are way down and wheel boats are way up.
Yeah, and you mentioned the anchors in the back. I run a single anchor, though, but I do run a power pole. And the only time I stick the boat down in the back is when I'm in probably 7 or 8 feet of water. So, but it works pretty good.
I use them every day.
Yep.
Every single day I use the shallow water anchors because a lot of what we're fishing up here is in that, 7 to 11 feet, and I got 15-foot anchors, so I can use them every single day, except during the bug hatches, some of the fish get kind of pulled out to the basin, and then it's spot locked. But I kind of go between the Minn Kota for drift mode. I really love the drift mode, and I fell in love with drifting again. And drifting doesn't mean just drag by on the boat. You drift and you pitch downwind at targets you see on your side imaging or on your Humminbird Mega Live.
Anyway, a lot of great information there, bro, and let's hope we have a really good fall here fishing, and won't be long. We'll be talking to you about ice fishing stuff, but I don't want to get into that yet.
No, and it's we're going to get hit with both barrels here pretty soon because it usually goes that way. So we're seeing in less than a week here, we're going to start hitting that 30 to 50 degree stuff. So we'll see how it goes, but let's keep our fingers crossed. And I'm not in a hurry to make the water temperature super cold, but I'd like to see it stay in the 50s for a couple months, but it ain't.
Yeah, well, you're going to probably have that Bro Roadshow podcast thing too coming up, won't you?
Absolutely. I got to get you on there this year, and we're going to talk about ice and some just stuff to help people, little tips that they can carry with them when they go out there. And that's going to be in more towards November. I used to start it in October, and everybody's in their deer stand or in a boat duck hunting. And so November is going to be when we start it, and it's all ice on the Bro Roadshow then. But for now, I'm still going to be guiding. If anybody's looking for trips, I have, I think 8 or 9 openings in end of October, and then I have beginning of November. And I go until they salt the roads, and then I'll use a smaller boat. But it's a big small boat. It's a 20-footer.
And where do they find information on you on the internet?
Yeah. Yep, just go to brosguideservice.com. And if you're up grouse hunting, let's go out in the morning, pop some walleyes, and then you could go get some birds in the afternoon. That's really popular this time of year, and it gets so good, I don't think you need a full day.
Well, bro, thank you greatly for taking the time with us here.
Yeah, you guys be safe on the water, and thanks for having me, John.
You bet.
Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, go to our website at wnoradio.com. From there, you can link to our podcast site, and the show is also on Spotify and Google Podcasts every week.
And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com. Thanks for listening, folks. We're out of time, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you.
Listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.